Today we're going to be talking about 7 lessons I learned from this fabulous book called The Psychology of Money. And surprisingly, these lessons are not the usual advice we receive around the topic of money, like you should not spend more than you earn. This book is refreshing, and the insights about money I'm about to share will deepen your relationship with money. And perhaps if you apply these lessons, you may be both wiser and richer. So the first lesson on money is profound, and in my opinion has deep spiritual underpinnings. The book says that we need to learn to say enough. If you're able to say the word enough, you have a certain level of detachment towards money. Of course, it is natural for us to keep the goalposts moving when it comes to money. Even if we have achieved a lot of our financial goals, the temptation is to compare ourselves with other people and keep striving for more. In the book, Morgan gives several examples of people who already have more than enough money, who go on to pursue illegal activities to get even more money. And in the pursuit of this ridiculous amounts of money, he quotes several millionaires who needlessly end up going to jail because they wanted to strive for more and more. And to illustrate his point, he quotes Warren Buffett, who says, to make money they didn't have and didn't need, they risked what they did have and did need, and that's foolish. It's just plain foolish. So lesson number 1 is asking ourselves, when is it enough? When is enough enough? And understanding that there is no reason to risk what we have and need for what we don't have and don't need. The next lesson that stood out to me was around our attitudes towards money. Morgan says our attitudes and relationships towards money is deeply personal and often shaped by our own history. Isn't this interesting? I've observed people who have lots of money act poor, and people with not money feel abundant regardless. So what may be going on? According to this book, financial behaviors are shaped by factors such as the economic environment during our formative years, parental attitudes towards money, and personal encounters with financial success or failure. So for example, someone who grew up during a time of economic hardship may be more risk-averse and inclined to save, while someone who experienced economic prosperity might be more inclined to spend and invest aggressively. So with that, we move to lesson number 3. This revolves around making more money. In order to create long-term wealth, we need to appreciate the power of compounding. Morgan explains how small, consistent actions over time can lead to extraordinary financial results. It emphasizes the importance of patience and long-term thinking in financial planning. To illustrate this point, Morgan says that of Warren Buffett's $84.5 billion net worth came after his 65th birthday. Our minds are not built to handle such craziness regarding compounding. So think about that for a minute. 96% of Warren Buffett's net worth today came after his 65th birthday. So the lesson for us is to start early, have a long-term investing mindset, and avoid the temptation of trying to get rich quickly. I'm a big fan of systematic investment plans, even if the amount you may have to invest is very small. Because of the power of compounding, like Morgan has shown us, your wealth will compound tremendously. You may be wondering how to start investing when your budget's already tight, which brings me to lesson number 4, which is to save as much as you can so that you can take advantage of the power of compounding by investing those savings regularly. He has a nice quote around this. Building wealth has little to do with your income or investment returns, and lots to do with your savings rate. Morgan has an interesting formula on savings. Typically, we think of savings as income minus expenses. However, he suggests that savings equals income minus ego. This is fascinating because ego is basically things we buy to make ourselves look better than others rather than because we actually need those things. If I look at my own life, I'm a pretty conservative spender. I like to spend on good food, and most of my spends are not ego-based. However, if I'm honest with myself and you, especially when it comes to clothes, I sometimes buy branded clothes that are ridiculously priced. Do I need them? Probably not. Could I just get by easily with alternative brands? Likely. but or my ego gets the better of me. Morgan talks about savings rate and focusing on that as something we can truly learn to control. And by increasing our savings rate, it gives us the opportunity to put that towards investing and growing wealth. Okay, so it's one thing to create wealth through the power of compounding and improving our savings rate. It's quite another to stay wealthy once you begin to acquire wealth. Which brings me to lesson number 5, which is we need to actively protect our wealth. In order to do this, Morgan suggests a number of ways to do this. First is to recognize that acquiring wealth and maintaining wealth require different skill sets. We need to adapt our behaviors as our financial situation evolves. He discusses many wealthy people who became wealthy but lost it all because they failed to transition from wealth acquisition to wealth preservation. Second is to manage risk wisely through practicing humility around finances, especially when you have a lot of wealth to work with. Avoid overconfidence and the mentality of I've made it, now I can do whatever I want. That can often lead to disastrous outcomes. And third is to maintain a calm approach to financial planning, not to get too excited or panic with market fluctuations as time goes on. Next is lesson number 6, which is my personal favorite. Morgan suggests money can buy you freedom, the freedom of time. Let me quote him. Money's greatest intrinsic value is, and this cannot be overstated in its ability, to give you control over your time. Using your money to buy time and options has a lifestyle benefit few luxury goods can compare with. I love this because money can indeed buy us things, a better car, a bigger house, greater experiences, but the shelf life of finding satisfaction in material things is fairly short. In fact, there are many studies that support this idea. Beyond a certain income level, money doesn't really add to happiness. I made a video with this research, Does Money Make You Happy? If that interests you, check out the link. I'll post it somewhere here, and you can take a look at that one. Instead, what Morgan suggests is that we create wealth and then buy time and live in alignment with our values. That is priceless. We won't have to do that job we don't like or deal with people we don't want to deal with. And that's the beauty of financial freedom. Morgan encourages readers to think of the value of money in terms of security, freedom, and the ability to make meaningful choices rather than as a tool for impressing others. He says spending money to impress others is often ineffective because people are anyway more focused on their own lives and desires. Last but not least, lesson number 7, which is wealth is what you don't see. Where have you heard that before? That was such a new thing for me. Here the book highlights the difference between being wealthy and looking wealthy. The point that Morgan is making here is that true wealth is the assets you don't see, savings, investments, financial security, rather than the visible signs of wealth such as luxury car, big houses, and or designer clothes. In order to build genuine wealth, Morgan outlines the importance of maintaining financial discipline and avoiding the temptation to spend excessively on visible luxuries. Spending money to look good can be misleading, and instead focusing on good habits will allow us to build long-term security and stability in our lives. So, those were the 7 lessons that I picked up from this amazing book. I hope if you have a chance, please take a deep dive into the book. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel. That way others can also learn and grow from this knowledge. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time.